We rise with a purpose, shine through the night. Voices of courage, lifting the light. Step into your moment, let your spirit fly. We are the voices that reach for the sky.
Welcome to Voices of Purpose, a podcast that shines a light on the quiet heroes, passionate change makers, and the everyday people answering the call to make a difference.
Here we explore the stories behind the mission, the why that drives the work, and celebrate the power of purpose in action.
Hello, I'm Chris Wooters.
And I'm Chris Hibbert. We're the hosts of your show for today.
All right, let's jump into today's conversation.
Joining us today on Voices of Purpose, we have a friend of mine, Lion Andy Burnard. Andy and I have become acquainted through our role in membership development for our respective districts. And we share a passion for Lions, especially giving other people the same opportunity that we've been granted. Andy's been a Lion for almost 20 years, and Lionism for Andy is a family affair. It's in his blood. His father, Terry, joined Lions in 1976, a dedicated Lion of 50 years. And his wife, Lion Emma, has been a Lion for 13 years, and now his son, Johnny, is also a member. Andy's recently been instrumental in creating a brand new club, Soltash Tamar Lions Club, the first in his district for quite a while. This club comprises of Lions of all ages, young and not so young, working together to fulfill the gap that the old club left behind. Let's start by talking about your Lions journey, Andy. Tell us how you got involved.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. Yeah, so I was brought up with Lionism. As you mentioned earlier, my father, Terence Burnard, became a proud Lion in 1976. A very strong club, a club called Carrington, here in southwest England, in Cornwall. And he, along with a lot of friends, they set up a very good friendship, and they all bonded very quickly and set up many service projects within the town, which quickly got recognised. And as well as doing all the other service projects, they gradually acquired a piece of land and they built their own garage. And luckily, there were about 6 builders within the Lions group. So they, over the weekends, built what we call the Lions store for all their equipment. And one of the other guys, he was heavily into ironwork for a living, and he was semi-retired. So he made all the frames for the stalls, the equipment, the games, and they quickly established lots of useful pieces of kit to use on their service projects. And they, within a few years, they took on one of the biggest events around South East Cornwall, which is called Callington Honey Fair. The Callington Honey Fair was brought back from hundreds of years before, and it was initially run by a guy called John Trevidick. He got it up and running for the first year. It was a street market. It's all to do with honey, bees, and the history of that, alongside the fun fair. And Callington took on this event and are still running it to this day. And it's always been held until the last 3 years on the first Wednesday in October. So this strengthened the community bond with the Lions family, and a very strong club was, it just carried on and on. They just really bonded as a group. And from there, obviously, I was a child. I'm now 59. As obviously back then, as a child, I was brought up with watching my father carry out these projects. Just one, for instance, they used to do on Christmas Eve. They would go out carol singing, and then on Christmas Day, they would actually go out in a Santa suit with gifts to people's houses that had been pre-arranged. And I would go along in the car we'd all get invited in for a sherry, and the child would have the present and the amazement on their faces. And this was something they did every year. You know, in the Lions' eyes, it was quite a small project, but in the eyes of the public and the children, it was overwhelming. So obviously, things like that, they gradually got things like bingo going and lots of things, as well as the honey fair being the big one. And then sort of during my teens, I can remember they took on a big car show, and they invited like all the vehicle companies from all of the southwest of England. They hired a massive venue called Duchy College, and it was a 3-day car show attended by thousands. And ironically enough, by this time, I'd got into a different charity group called Rotaract, and we were actually doing the car parking for the Lions. So everything we seemed to do within our community always ended up linked with Lions. So
Lions became pretty much your life then, huh?
it was, yes. Ironically enough, I chuckled the other day because I said most teenagers would have posters hanging on the bedroom wall, and I had the Lions bannerets on a purple background hanging in front of my bed. So I think it was duty bound that I was going to join Lions eventually. But there was a period of time that went on. I built my own house alongside my father, and during that time I just didn't have the time to commit to charity work. But again, every event that happened in Callington, which was pretty much on a weekly or fortnightly basis, I normally went along, whether it be a New Year's Eve party or a party for the elderly, whatever they did, I was there. And then eventually, I decided that Lions was for me. So I got badged up almost 20 years ago. So that was my start with Lionism.
So, who was your sponsor? Was it your father?
My father sponsored me, and I still have the certificate, and very proud. And I lost my father last year, so he'd done like 48 years of service, and he was only one of the last 2 charter members of the club.
And you're keeping his legacy going, which is incredible. And it looks like your son is also carrying on that same legacy.
Yes, so we did a very interesting thing several years ago. 14 years ago, my son also got hooked on the charity work through a Lions initiative. So we had a guy at Ginsters in Callington. He was an Indian gentleman. And
You lost him?
We lost you there for a second, Andy. Sorry. Okay, so we were just talking, Andy, about how long your father had been a Lion, and now you've carried on the legacy, almost 20 years ago, becoming a Lion yourself. And we were just moving on to talk about the fact that your son has recently joined. Is it Johnny? Has recently joined, is it Soltash Tamar Club, or was he part of Callington as well before that?
So no, Johnny, when he was quite young, at the age of 12, decided that he would like to do some charity work, and he got involved in 3 long-distance walks. And at that point, he was too young to be a Lion, and we didn't have any Leos around us. So on his 3rd walk, when he was 15, we designed a walk to do the whole of Cornwall from one end to the other, from Lions Club to Lions Club, over 8 days. And he did it for Children's Hospice Southwest. And it was really good because my father came on board. So we had 3 generations of Lions. Well, he was a Lion by that point. He'd been taken on by Soltash, the old club, but he was more of a Leo than a Lion. So the 3 generations, we called it 3-generation walk. We did 8 days, which is about 110 miles, and that raised £9,000 for Children's Hospice in
Wow, brilliant.
And now, on completion of the walk, Soltash Club said, "Would you like to join us? We understand you're not allowed to be a fully fledged Lion, but would you like to get involved?" So he did. And his Lions journey started with Soltash Club itself. And then he moved abroad. He went to Canada to live.
We've lost you again, Andy.
Lost microphone now, too.
Still got me or not?
We
Lost
lost
you
you
for a
when he went to Canada.
Yeah. So basically, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So yes, so he came back, and he's back in the Lions family as of 2 weeks ago. So then my wife, obviously, we met through Lionism,
Wow.
which was another story. So back 10 years ago, we had a new members' evening in Callington, and we promoted it locally. And Emma, my lovely wife, came along to the evening, and then the rest went from there. And she soon joined the Lions Club, and 8.5 years ago we got married. So the whole family are in Lions one way or another.
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing. So, what if we were to ask you a question, Andy? You know, what would you say your purpose is in Lions or in life?
I mean, I love to help other people. I always have. I love to serve the community and help people that are less fortunate than myself. And I never anticipated being second vice district governor. Although my father jokingly said a couple of years ago, the rate you're going, you'll be district governor, and sort of with a smile on his face. I didn't believe for one moment that I would be. I'd followed the path of being president a couple of times and also zone chairman, and been out and met many other Lions and other clubs and really enjoyed that experience. Yeah, my purpose really is to, help people basically, and I just get a real buzz out of serving and helping people that are in need. Where there's a need, there's a lion.
That's right. That's right.
It
One
seems
of
to
our
me
favorite
like
things.
your club has always been doing so much in the community too. That's a big part of it.
Yes, I mean, Callington was a massive club, always held in very high respect, and everyone knew where Callington Lions was. And they're very level-headed, and they had some very influential people, and they had one guy, Lion Wesley Wilton, who was, really had a big range of skills, as did many of them really, and it was a no-brainer to join their club.
So, when you say it was a massive club, what sort of numbers would you be talking about in terms of members?
I mean, on today's numbers, it was quite a big club because, I mean, there were nearly 30 people in it. And at one point, I think they're up to about 32. And that always seems to be about, I feel, the level where you could work really well. I think once it gets too big, it can be more problematical. And recently, we sort of experienced a big club in Callington. And obviously, as you know, we've just set up a club branch to assist another town, and left a good strong club in Callington and set up another one in Soltash.
Yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? Because I'm aware that I think you've just had the charter approved for the club in Soltash, and I'm led to believe that some members of Callington maybe also went to Soltash because there was some disputes or disagreements. Maybe, is that correct?
I think, as with some clubs, you're always going to get different characters with different ideas and different opinions. And yes, it's true that there were a couple of people who were conflicting, and I was president at the time. It was a very difficult decision to make, and I didn't really want to set up a club branch. It didn't even enter my head. But over a period of time, it became apparent that something had to happen for retention of membership, which I felt was key. And the opportunity just popped up, and we were invited by the town council of Soltash. Would we like to come and set up a new club in Soltash? Because they lost their club after 53 years, and they'd not had a club for the last 3. And I saw this opportunity, and I thought, right, okay, this would be good, because the people that would like to be in Soltash can go to Soltash and be happy, and the ones who want to stay in Callington can do the same. So retention was key, and obviously to serve the 2 different towns. So I took the bold move to do that, and so exciting times ahead. Callington have just attracted a couple of new members, and we've managed to build a club with 8 members under the age of 26, which is virtually unheard of in Lions circles, because most people, probably average age is 50 upwards, and we're 30 downwards for quite a proportion of the club. And we've got very excited, very enthusiastic people, and exciting times ahead. And the 2 clubs are still going well.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of really note that the Lions are just like family, or just like any other organizations. That just because you have disagreements doesn't mean you shouldn't keep going, because you have the common, you have the common goal, right? And I think what you did is amazing, because a lot of times instead of continuing to fight and maybe degrade the service that you're doing, you actually found a way forward. And that's something I think that we need to do more of in this world. In a world where we're continually thought of to agitate to the point of bringing more and more problems. You're able to bring down the problem and find a solution for it. So I think it's a great way forward. I mean, and like you said, and sometimes it's just different voices, and people just get along better with other people. That's a great way forward. I mean, I think I applaud you guys for doing that.
Thank you. I felt from experience, about 10 years before, there was a little bit of not a rift, but there was a few people that wanted to do certain things that others didn't. And there were a younger element again that came in, and it was suggested to do a club branch at that point. And it was decided by the elders, who were very, very switched on. They would retire away, but come and help us on the big events, which was great. And then we obviously built the club again up from that point. And I think from that experience, I learnt that, I needed to do something, that we didn't need to lose Lions. We don't want to lose people. Everybody's important. Every Lion has different skill sets, and they're all great in whatever they do. And that was why I chose the decision on this occasion to do a club branch. The opportunity arose. We took it. It was a bit nerve-wracking, I've got to say, but it has actually been successful, and I'm very happy that it has. And we were with the group last night on a bit of a social get-together, brainstorming ideas, and the enthusiasm in the room was mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing, especially with the youth, because one of the guys has just been badged up as a Leo, and he wants to set up a club in the district. He wants to set up a 105 Southwest Leo's Club, and his inspiration is it's just spilling over. So yeah, I'm pleased we took the move, and we managed to set up the club within 4 months, and we should be chartered within 5.
So you mentioned the Leo. Is it Thomas?
Yes. So Thomas Dowdall, ironically, went to Orlando,
and he was badged up there, wasn't he?
And he was badged up by Molly Speed.
By one of our club Leos originally, now
so
our multiple district Leo officer.
Yes, so they spent quite a few days with Molly and Emily, and I don't know what they said to him, but he came back inspired, and there's no holding him back now. And they're really excited about trying to get this Leo's Club off the ground, and I think they've already got potentially 7 members.
Well, so we're really excited about it as well, because last night I was at a Lions meeting in another district, in District CN. We badged up 2 more Leos into our club there as well. So it would be amazing if we could have at least district-based Leo clubs in every one of our 8 districts, and then we can start to grow. Each one to start grow, club Leos as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And get it back to where we used to have it. Because one thing I know for sure, from working with the Leos in the past and in the present, they are incredible young people. For Molly, who is probably, I think, 19, possibly 20, to already be now serving as an MD officer, encouraging the growth of Leos in our organisation, I think is incredible, and it's testament to the kind of people that these young people are. So
Yeah,
I'm
most definitely.
very
Yeah,
excited for Thomas.
yeah. I mean, we've also got another inspirational young lady in our club. Obviously, Charlotte Tate. Even though she's above 18 and she's a fully fledged Lion, she's now our deaf awareness officer for District 105 Southwest. And again, she's spilling over with enthusiasm and ideas. And this is something I've never seen before, because I've always been with people who are probably twice my age. And now all of a sudden, I'm with people half my age. And to actually experience this enthusiasm from all the youngsters in our club is just a breath of fresh air, and
Yeah,
it'll encourage others as well.
it's infectious. It
It
really
is.
is. It really does have a massive impact on us as Lions. It doesn't matter how old you are. These Leos that we badged up yesterday, I think, were 13 and 15. And the energy in the room when they were in the room compared to when they left the room was really obvious. They really have a massive impact on how people behave and how people respond. It's amazing. Good luck with that. And I think you say it's Charlotte, isn't it?
Yeah, Charlotte Tate, yes.
Charlotte. I mean, she's quite a special person, as I understand. Like you say, she's the deaf awareness person in your district, and I believe she understands that role very well.
Yes, she does. Yes. Yeah, I mean, obviously she's been deaf from birth, but she doesn't let anything hold her back. She'd obviously been to the Deaf Academy and near Richard Allen, or DG, and he'd known her because he sort of had contact through the Deaf Academy. And yeah, she does a lot of inspirational stuff, and so just the energy that the youth are bringing in is just incredible. And it's nice to actually see them bringing the ideas to the table, rather than us to try and keep on finding things to keep them interested, because the tables are turning. They now want to go and do stuff, and we're being drawn to help them, which is great. And I said I'll give them all support they need. Whereas before you're thinking, well, what can we do to make it exciting for these people to stay on board? But no, it's absolutely brilliant.
So you mentioned briefly that you are now the second vice district governor of your district 105 SW, and I know the team that you're working with, Richard and Phil. I think the three of you make an excellent team. I'm really excited to see what you do in that district over the next 3 years, and more. What kind of thoughts have you got, Andy, about how you're going to develop that role going forward?
Well, I've hit the ground running, really, because it wasn't anything I'd even considered up until about 8 months ago. Obviously, I've got a passion for Lionism. I want to serve and I want to help the youth to progress, because we've had 2 recent occasions where the youth has been there, and the difference that has made. One was convention, and that was just on the party night. What a difference to have youth in there dancing on the dance floor and people looking around to say, wow. And last week we had our district handover, which normally attended by about 40 to 45. We had 90 people, and we had youth in the room, and everyone was coming over shaking their hands saying, welcome to Lions. So I'm passionate about the youth. I'm passionate about service, locally, nationally, and internationally. So wherever I'm needed to help, I'll try and do my best. And I think Richard and Phil are very inspirational. I think they're great guys to be teamed up with.
Yeah, they are.
Now, what inspired you to take that next step? Because a lot of people are doing a lot of things in their club, like you have been doing, but it's a big giant step to step up into a leadership role like that. What pushed you to that next level?
I think there are 3 things, really. When I lost my father last year, it was a bit of a wake-up call, and it freed up some of my time, because financially I was able to put that to it. I decided to work less. So, I've got more hours in the day to put to it as well. And we also got involved with international Lionism, serving the people of Ukraine 3 years ago. And by doing that and doing the international service really inspired me to the next level. And when I've known Phil Bunt, ironically enough, when we did the 3-generation walk, we stayed with Phil. I've known Phil for years. And when I saw Richard as well, I thought, yes, we've got a good team. And if I could be part of that team, maybe we could bring the average age down and make a difference and try and, build on what they've already done before.
Yeah, it's certainly, from my point of view, I've seen quite a few district governors in my time, and I find it's always nice when you get 3 people that seem to be singing off the same hymn sheet, because quite often you can find that you have a great district governor who wants to go in a particular direction, and then the next person may be also just as great but has different ideas, and that's not easy to progress. So having three district governors in a row that are all singing off the same hymn sheet, I think is really exciting for your district. You did mention briefly your work in Ukraine. We'll talk about that in a little while. I think it's probably a good time for us to have a quick break now and say thank you to you, Andy, for your comments, your candidness, your openness in sharing your story with us today. We will come back to talk to Andy again in a little while to talk about his work in Ukraine.
One last question on this. I'd like to ask one question, because you have gotten a lot of people to come join you. Why should people come and join Lions? Why should they pick up that badge and be a Lion?
Well, basically, I think it speaks for itself. The smiles we put on people's faces when we serve our community does it all, really. We get out there, we help people, and the thank you get from people is just, awe-inspiring. And I think if you can get out and make a difference, then that makes me very happy personally, and I would hope other people would like to do the same thing.
I'll echo Chris on this segment. I appreciate you for all you've done and how you've continued to make it about service and empowerment. Obviously it's you can definitely tell that from your journey and from where you've gone and where you're headed. So thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Set your reminder now for the LCAF Telethon on June 7th, and be inspired by the powerful stories of Lions around the world who are truly being the change in their communities and empowering those around them. Learn more at lionsvirtual.org.
Thank you for joining us on Voices of Purpose. If today's story moved you, inspired you, or sparked a thought, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, live it, let it drive purpose in your own life. Until next time, stay grounded, stay inspired, and keep using your voice for good.